Western Conference Podcast. Your boy Big Body Cisco here. We're here with a brand new episode brought to you by Dos Caras Tequila. Shout out Bula Pies as well. But we here with my brother from the 808 State all the way to the 702, my brother Fia. How we doing, brother?
Yes, sir. What's good? What's good, Big Body?
I mean, you are here now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, see, you are here now because it's going to get busy. So if you guys order this, Mr. Love Me himself. Mr. Love His Emotions is my favorite song, but that's besides the point. We'll get into all that. But how we doing, brother?
I'm blessed, man.
Yeah.
Blessed. God is good.
Man, all the time. I'm telling you, we doing it here because you are a new resident now of the 702. We're going to talk about that transition.
Okay.
But being here now, how does it feel to be in the 702? Because you're always here anyway, but now it's a little bit different.
To be here, knowing that I live here now, it's actually pretty crazy. Knowing a lot of the shows that I've done here already, just knowing like, man, I actually live here now. Yeah. It is mind-blowing to me. You're
transitioning still a little bit though too. But like I said, we got Fia in here, and you just been doing a few shows out in Cali, but now we're getting into the busy time of the season where the summer's coming up, spring's coming up. So you have to prep yourself as an artist mentally to get ready for that, leaving home and all that as well, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a challenge every now and then, you know what I'm saying? To have to leave my family. I'm a husband to my beautiful wife. I got 3 kids, and I'm also raising my nephew.
Yeah,
so
man.
God is good, though. I feel like ever since I've had that change in my life of actually making God a priority in my life, makes it a little bit more easier to leave. Knowing that you know what you're doing.
Because you got your mind right now, right? Once you get God as your guide, for a lot of us artists that we're all on the road and we're all doing things like that, like if you don't have God, you can get lost quick.
Oh yeah.
And just to kind of just have to see, how you kind of like in that newfound space with you, just in the stuff we do, like coming home from the green. It's a whole different purpose now, right? When we hear it as artists.
Oh, yeah.
So when you hear that song, like, there's been a few times I've been, in New Zealand or Australia, and I hear that song, I'm like, you miss your family.
You do.
Like, and when you know it's busy time, there's something that you have to do to provide for your family.
Yes.
Like, especially transitioning. Like, how did this whole music thing even come about? Because you already know, it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. But you got to tell us how this even came about for you.
Well, for me, music has been a part of my life since I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I grew up in church.
Yeah.
I grew up in Harbor City, California.
Man, and see, that's a funny story there too, but we'll talk about it because when Fia says he's from Harbor City, right? Me and Jay Bug, it was a young Fia, and Fia was coming up in the game and the music, and we're like, oh, Fia's dope. So this is me and Bug talking about Fia. So we didn't know he was from Harbor City. Me and Bug are also Cali boys too. Yeah. I'm from the Bay Area. He's from Compton. So we see Fia at a show. We're thinking Fia's fresh off the branch. We're thinking Fia is one of the Fabians dudes. Like he's straight from Samoa. So we kind of go over to him and was like, Fia, I like telling him in Samoan if he was hungry. And Fia kind of looked at us like, nah, I'm good.
I remember that.
We looked at him and was like, hey, he speaks pretty good English. But because he's from Harbor.
Yeah.
So that was a story I had to tell because we, for the life of us, and I don't even know why we thought that, but we was like, oh man, we got to go. Do we speak Samoan? Do we speak English to him? So we just went there and you were like, nah. And I was like, man, this English is pretty good.
Yeah, I remember.
So you're from Harbor though?
Yes.
Okay, tell us that.
I grew up there. I was young when I moved to Hawaii. I moved to Hawaii when I was probably 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
Moved out to Hawaii, but I did have my time in Harbor City where I kind of grew up on the R&B side of music.
Got it.
And then moved out to Hawaii and was introduced to reggae.
Yeah.
Island reggae.
So when you transition, you're still at a young age in Harbor.
Yes.
And when you transition from California to Hawaii, and then you do have the music sense of saying, okay, Hawaii still has the R&B and everything else that with it too, but now you're in the field of where reggae music is and island reggae. So that transition for you started early.
It did. I loved the music that I was hearing in Hawaii. It was new to my ears.
Yeah.
So of course I loved it, but I didn't want to take away what I knew growing up as far as the R&B feel of everything. And growing up, I always felt that I could implement my style of what I grew up listening to as far as R&B into that reggae scene.
And who was some like the R&B, early R&B that you were listening to?
Man, I'm a big Chris Brown fan.
Ooh, come on.
I wanted to dance. I wanted to
So you're talking about young Chris. Young
Chris.
CB. The Yo Chris.
Yo Chris.
Yeah, come on. That was an era. And he's still doing his thing.
I say, oh. Yeah, that's Chris right there, bro.
So that was a huge influence on you.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. He made me want to dance. I had gone to a dancing group when I was in high school. I'm talking about we was at all age of rages, just crumping, kind of pop.
You was getting in.
I got it in, man. I wanted to be just like him.
So that was a big influence for you.
Definitely, yeah.
So you kind of like saying, when did you first, you have the Chris Brown influence, you come to Hawaii. What were some of the artists in Hawaii that you were listening to that transitioned from just growing up?
Most definitely Fiji.
Yeah.
You hear it at every party that you go to with your family, but Fiji just had he just could do things with his voice that nobody could even dream of.
Yeah, man.
He could sound like he's doing the raga.
Yeah.
And then he could sing his heart out like he's melting.
In one fell swoop.
It's just mind blowing. It's like,
the
different styles that he has, the control he has on his voice really inspired me and really told me that I can do what I like to do as far as my voice is not changing who I was as an artist, you know?
Was that something but early on did you think about being an artist? Like, was singing always one of your things when you were growing up, when coming from Harbor to Hawaii? Or you already knew that I wanted to be a singer?
My whole life, I played sports.
Yeah.
I played a lot of sports. I'm pretty good at them. But if you asked me back then, my passion was music.
Man, so right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
I always dreamed that, I believe that God put me on this earth to do music.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was going to be the one to change lives doing it. So at a young age, no matter what sports he was putting me in, I'd be in the locker room, in the football locker room, and people were slapping each other's helmet. I'm over there like just singing. I'm just singing, getting ready like this with my ukulele.
So that was something for you. So you knew that early.
Oh, for sure.
So knowing that you had that early and you kind of seen, so now that it kind of gives a new light to having Chris Brown as an influence, because now you're like, I want to emulate that, being a singer and being a dancer. Now you coming over to Hawaii and you listen to Fiji, where he could still, he could be, he's a chameleon. He could be R&B, rock, he could do all that. So when you have that, you kind of just implement those type of tactics into what you're kind of doing.
Yeah, like I said, not taking too much away from who I am.
Yeah.
As far as my vocal ability, but still not taking away from the reggae itself, So I feel like I did a good job of pretty meshing my way into the scene.
But what was the moment that someone said, Fia, you can sing?
Man, from in church when I was a kid, honestly.
See, there it is, because church.
From when the pastors would give me solos more than they would give anybody else solos, I felt like, I'll do it.
Yeah. So when you were getting the solos growing up and you're in Hawaii and so the music scene at this time, it's starting to flourish in Hawaii, right? Yeah. With a lot of the artists.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
when you start talking about you going to major rages and you're going to these concerts, you are growing up watching artists that you're actually hitting stages with today.
That's one of the crazy things is I didn't go to a lot of concerts growing up. I grew up in a very Fasamo style household where, it's very strict. We don't really go out too much. And,
we don't really spend too much money on entertainment. Yeah,
for sure. But I did remember going out to a concert called the Birthday Bash?
Yeah. Back
then,
in Hawaii.
It had J-Book on it. It had like Fiji, COC, all these dudes.
Yeah.
And me and my sister, we had lawn tickets at Waikiki Shell, and we were all the way in the back.
Oh, he was in the back. When you say lawn, lawn at the Shell
I'm talking about Fiji and Book. Yeah. But I remember that show because that was my first and only show concert I've ever gone to. And I just remember, like, as I was watching it, it was more than just a show for me. It was something that was like God showing me, like, this is you.
Yeah, you were soaking it up too.
I was soaking it up, and I remember while my sister was just me and her. She was dancing. Shout out to my sister Scylla. She was like dancing, singing to the music, and she looks at me. She's like, "You good?" Because I wasn't really like into it. Like
now you were just soaking it up.
I soaked it up. I turned to her. I said, "I promise you, I'm gonna be on that stage.
Yeah,
I'll be on that.
Wow.
Stage. I'll be on that stage.
Yeah.
And fast forward like a few years later, I backed up Fiji at the Waikiki Show.
Come on, man.
For the first time, and I got to bring my brother and my sister in VIP.
Yeah.
It meant the world to me because my sister looked at me. She's like.
You said
you was gonna do it. I said, I said I was.
And that's crazy about this demographic of artists that we have, because you do see artists like yourself go from the lawn to the stage to headlining shows to doing your own tours. Like, we're going to get into all that, but just that feeling of you being in that time, in that place in Hawaii, watching those artists, there had to be, step in levels to what you had to do to get there.
Oh,
so from that moment on, what was the plan for you to kind of say, okay, how do I get to that next level of being an artist?
After seeing that show, for me, honestly, I wasn't like, I knew that was going to be something I would do.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really pushing to do it. I was still in school. I was still doing a bunch of, as the kid.
You was being a kid.
Yeah. So I did the sports. I boxed. I did everything. And, like they say, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
If God says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I was at a boxing club, boxing for a place called 50 Boxing in Ever Beach.
Wow.
And that was actually the place.
Shout out Ever Beach, man.
Yeah, shout out Ever Beach. Shout out to Uncle Danny. Uncle Danny started a group there. He was actually the trainer at his house. He's trained all these boxers. He started a group there called Ninja 9.
Oh, but shout out Ninja 9. That's family right there.
Ninja 9 just came out, and they came out with a group called H-Tray. And H-Tray started with these three dudes. Shout out to my brothers, S.A., Jay, and Franco.
Yeah.
Like, we could be boxing. We're boxing. And I just hear these harmonies going on. I was like, man.
You're like, hold up.
They had a jam night one night.
Yeah.
There was like, any open mic, just come up. I jumped on.
Yeah.
Everybody that was boxing was like, you sing? Yeah. Bro, they were like, bro.
They're like, hold up.
Bro, just put the boxing gloves down and go sing, dog.
Untape the gloves.
Yeah.
Get over here.
And that's where I started. I started singing with that group, H-Tray.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of big artists. Like, that was my first time meeting Fiji.
Yeah.
I got to back him up at a wedding. And then from there, just my name kind of buzzed around the islands, just like, oh, you ever heard of that kid Fia who sings for H-Tray? And the group, we all got older. People started doing their own thing with their families. And I just felt like that's where my calling was. And I just kept at it. Started doing my own thing as a solo artist. And then, everything was history from there.
So a lot of the alignment, a lot of the puzzle pieces was there early for you.
It was early. It was there early. It was just me finding my way. You know what I mean?
Especially like maneuvering. Like I always say, like being an artist in Hawaii, everybody could be an artist, right? I mean, because everyone can sing out there, everyone knows. But if you take it seriously, and we know so many like musicians, and everybody just around the island. Like, if you're in that circle, you're in that circle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So for someone like yourself to kind of say, I'm in the circle because now you have a group and you're meeting feeds and you're backing like that. So what to you kind of said, okay, I need something that's going to separate me from because then your idols turn into not competition, but they turn into the ones you want to kind of get to, right?
For sure.
So how did that transition for you?
For me, I think it was just being who I was. Like I said, I always felt like I had a unique voice, a unique style when it came to the scene in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like I said, I grew up on R&B.
Come on, it's tough too.
So whenever we'd have jam sessions, people just bust out the guitar, the ukulele. Everybody would like spit a verse, singing. But whenever it came to me, my style always stuck out because it's like, bro, where do you get it? Like,
exactly.
For me, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, see,
it's just what comes to
you
mind.
saying that it's easy to get caught up trying to sound like somebody. When you're at a jam session, I could try to sing like Feej.
Yeah.
Or I can try to sing like Azio and a lot of these people that was coming up. Where when you find your own thing and you can kind of have your own sound at that time, when you find it early like that, that's when the buzz
separates you from everybody else.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's why your buzz kind of got caught on a little bit quicker than others.
I believe so.
Because, I always see people jamming now, they still try to sound like the artist.
Sure.
And no disrespect to them. This is what we do.
Right.
But as a singer and kind of like want to step away from that mantra, like kind of knowing, like when I heard your voice for the first time, I was doing big body radio in the Bay Area and I had got some of the songs like, dude, who's this kid? I said, he ain't from Hawaii. Like, for me being from the Bay, me being from Cali, I knew right away. Like I knew Boog wasn't from Hawaii. I knew like JR from Common Kings. I knew that voice was different. Sure. So like when you heard it on a track, that for me it was like, okay, that's a Cali kid or something. But I don't know why we still thought you was a file. But besides the point, you had to go there because like what was the first big moment for you to kind of say, okay, I could make a living off of this?
I think it was stepping up to the opportunity. Yeah. When I backed to Feej, like randomly he on stage, he's just like, give it up for my backup singers. Yeah. And that time it was me, Josh, and Johnny Sweet.
Man, come on. Shout out Josh to Tofi, Johnny Sweet.
We're singing with him. And then out of nowhere, he just turns to the guys, he's like, take a verse. Yeah. On Sweet Darling.
And that's crazy.
And for me, like, you gonna give me give me that time, I'm gonna do the best of my ability to.
It's what you're gonna do at that moment.
Yeah, what you gonna do at that moment. So for me, I was never gonna shy away from it. Once he said it, it wasn't my time to be like, I'm gonna steal the show from Feej. Yeah. It was more of a respectful thing. Like, Feej, you won't give me this moment, I won't disappoint you.
Come on, man.
I'm not gonna disappoint
you. Because if you don't, people know Feej, he's that vessel for us. He'll have so many backgrounds. Like you've seen Spawn Breezy, JR, Boog, everybody's background song and had that moment. Yes. Kavini Vaitai, everybody that's been in the game. And I've always seen Feej give you guys that opportunity. Give every artist.
That's what I love about Feej. You know what I mean? Like, he's been in the game. You know, he paved the way for a lot of us. Yeah. And what I love the most is how he doesn't hold knowledge from anybody. Come on. Like, if you're willing to learn and you really want to be a part, like be about this life,
he's willing to help you out.
You just got to be a sponge and soak it. And not take advantage of, like, you got to take advantage of the moments that you have with him. And
those
really,
opportunities.
Every time I sit with him, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
I don't.
Especially when you get like opportunity like that. Like, where was that at when you did this, Sweet Darling?
This was at the Waikiki show.
Come on, man. So to have that opportunity and you kind of seen your moment and seen your window, what did you do with it?
Oh, I went off.
Woo, come on, man. Right? Talk your shit,
man. I went off, man. I did my thing. And then just on social media itself, like people blowing it up. Like, man, that's a Nanakuli boy. You know what I mean? I grew up in Nanakuli. And
it just started.
Yeah, it just started from there. A lot of people know Nanakuli, on the west side, it's like the Waianae side. Yeah. Not a lot of good things they talk about.
Come on, let's say that people are scrapping or something. It has a bad mantra, it has a bad feeling.
Sure, but I tell you right now, man, that place is full of love. Yeah. It's full of love, it's full of talent and just gifted people. Yeah. And I feel like if we had the opportunities that not a lot of us have. Yeah. Like, if we actually had those opportunities, man, we could really make a name for that place. You know what I mean? So for me, representing Nanakuli, like, I take it, man. Yeah. I really take this serious.
Because we talked about it, like, within our culture, we want to represent to the fullest whatever we're about. Like, whether it be our city, our village, wherever we're from, we take pride in where we come from and how we do it. So, of course, everybody from where they're from is going to represent it to the fullest, right? Yep. So when you had that opportunity and you had that moment, it's on you to what the next step is going to be. Sure. So what was the next step?
For me, as soon as I had that opportunity, it was like, I'm either going to let it slip by me or I'm going to take advantage of this buzz right now. So with that buzz that I had going on, I was like, I feel like this is my time to start releasing music. Like, I've sang in front of people in Hawaii, but not of that.
Exactly, of that caliber,
That was packed.
Come on.
Like, this is the Waikiki shell. Yeah. So now I'm thinking, like, if I don't take advantage of it now and start moving.
It's now or never.
It's now or never.
Yeah.
And the year after, 2018, I released my first song, Come Around.
Come on, man.
Followed up by Love Me. And
see, and the rest is history. See, and I want, before we even got to the Love Me thing, I was talking about when you released in 2018 and 2019, like those are crucial years because you know, we're trying to get that buzz. And then Love Me was what I heard. Like Love Me was the first thing that came over to Cali, and people were like, hey, what song is that? So like, if you guys don't know what song Love Me is, you guys been under a rock or whatever have you. But how did that even come about as far as saying, this is your project, you have a number of songs that you could choose from.
Right.
Like, was Love Me one of those ones that you was like, this is going to be one of them ones?
I'm going to be completely honest, bro. Not at all.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not at all. So this is a funny story. Love Me, when I released my first single, Come Around, in 2018 in April, that song actually did very well to where I was already getting hit up to go and travel to like Alaska, like California.
On just that song?
Just that song.
Yeah. And
I started traveling, doing some stuff, and it was so fast for me and my family, me and my wife.
Yeah.
At the time that I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. It was too much too soon.
It was too much too soon to where we, you know, just like any other relationship, you have problems. Like, things starts to build up.
It's strenuous on a relationship.
It's hard, yeah. So I was new to the game, and I was like, man, this is what it comes with.
Yeah.
It's the territory it comes with. You know, a lot of females around.
Yeah.
You know? So me and my wife, we just went through a lot of stuff during that time. So I wrote Love Me just for her.
Wow.
I wasn't going to release the song.
Yeah.
I wrote Love Me.
It was kind of just an ode to your wife.
It was just a song that I could have in our inbox, or, you know, like our notes on phone.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because all of us men have that one song. Once we get in trouble, we have that one. Man, go and listen to this song, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So Love Me was that song. Wow.
So I had it from my wife, and I sent it to her. And like the guys that I had in my circle, which is like Johnny Sweet, you know, all the brothers, they were like, bro, that song should be released. And I'm like, nah, that's just for my wife.
Yeah.
And me and my wife talked about it. My wife was like, it's a good song. I released it. As soon as I released it in July of 2018.
Wait. Before releasing it, what did wifey think of the song?
She loved it.
Yeah, I was about to say, because that was the major reason for the song.
Yeah, she loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it. You know, it's like my lyrics is straight from the heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I say, you know, you got to sit down, wind down, and speak of all the reasons why we stick around. Like, we really got to put it into our minds of like, what we're really doing this for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm away. I get it. I'm away. You're at home. It's hard being a stay-at-home mom. You know what I mean? I have all respect for my wife.
Absolutely.
That's hard too.
Yeah.
But, you know, knowing your other half is out there doing his thing. You know, you got to have
performing.
Trust.
Yeah.
Trusting you got to have.
Trust and communication's key, man.
So with that song, it meant the world to me. But like I said, it was only supposed to be for my wife.
Wow.
Just for us to listen to when we go through our hard times. Let's just play it together and listen to it on the phone.
And so that was just something personal for you.
Personal.
So like it wasn't even supposed to be out and out.
Not at all.
And I think now hearing that story now, listening to the song now, it just people resonated with it because that's everybody like flocked to that song.
Oh yeah.
Because they've been in that situation where if they were in trouble, that was a song that does, baby, just love me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to hear that's crazy because now you got Come Around going around. Is this like the B side of Come Around?
Yeah, basically, yeah. But like I said, Love Me wasn't supposed to be released. Even in the beginning of the release, when I did release it, I still didn't want it to be out.
Yeah.
But when it started to catch this traction, like people, you know.
And it didn't catch traction, Fia. It caught fire.
Yeah.
Like a wildfire in California, it caught fire because that was the song that everybody was buzzing about.
Yeah. For me, I just wanted it to be like, you know, like, man, that's the song for my wife. You know what I mean? But then I started to think about it, like, man, there's people who go through the same things that we go through. And I feel like that's why they love it so much because I'm helping them mentally really think about their
and put into words melodically into a way that, you know, a lot of people, I mean, fellas don't get rap. They don't know how to talk. You know what I mean? So sometimes they go, oh, listen to the song.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We're like cavemen. They're like, oh, listen to the song. Because that's the way of communication for those guys who don't know how to. So this song, the reason why it caught for me, like, I heard it in Cali and I was like, nah. So I played it a little. I was like, nah, this that one. Because even with the beat, like, how did the beat come about?
It was a beat. So funny thing is, I was hooked on this song from it's a Maori song. Yeah, it's called Tia Homaira.
Okay.
Those chords that they play on that song, I learned it off of YouTube, and I was I think I was on the road one day and I was just playing it over and over. Yeah. Started writing to it, and then next you know, I just like, hey yo, I like this. Yeah. Clan made it. I was like, all right. Let's send it to my wife, see if she likes it.
Wow.
That's how the beat came about. And then actually, there was a guy who helped me fund my projects. Yeah. A big shout out to my brother, Ray Pulu.
Okay, yeah,
Ray
man.
Pulu, that's a big brother right there.
Come on.
He was the one that actually gave me an opportunity to actually do it because as far as financials, I was still working regular 9 to 5.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was hard for me to go from working my job to try and get in the studio, making sure I had enough money for my family and the studio. But this guy, he heard me sing and he believed me. Like,
when did you get rid of the 9 to 5? Was it before Love Me or after Love Me?
2018, the beginning of the year.
So before Come Around.
Yeah. So in 2018, when we talked about that opportunity I had with FIAS, that buzz, I got linked up with the right people.
Yeah.
And FIAS and Ray is really good brothers.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like investing in me.
Come on.
And I guess FIAS told him, he's somebody I would.
Yeah.
And Ray trusted me. He pulled me over to the side of one of my acoustic gigs that I had. He's like, "How serious are you?" I was like, "Man, if I had the money to do it, I quit my job right now."
Yeah.
He was like, "For real?" I was like, "Yeah." He cut me a check.
Wow. And that's another moment there, because that's another fork in the road, because you could easily get caught in the grain. I tell a lot of young artists today, sometimes you need that 9 to 5 to fund your 5 to 9.
Yeah.
So to have that opportunity to have somebody believe in you, put money up behind you, because it's not easy, especially like in Hawaii. Like, you have to be sure you get somebody that believes in you and what you can do longevity. Because you get one of these, come on, I'm going to call it what it is. You get one of these doughboys and be like, let me put some money behind you. It's a little different, because they feel like they're owed something at the end of the day. When you find somebody with that trust, when you trust, that can turn something where you don't want to let that person down.
Yeah. So,
and it seemed like, especially when you get the vouch from FIAS, that's what it was about.
Yeah. So for me, like, I just didn't want to let them down. You know what I mean? Like, you giving me this opportunity. That was right after Christmas. I told him, man, I quit my job. We was on that break. You know, you go on a break from your job for like the winter time, the Christmas time. So quit my job, took it serious, released my first song in April. Yeah. And everything just started going from there. But that was just like me taking advantage and like really putting my foot down on what I wanted to do and really trusting myself. You know what I mean?
But how was the conversation with wifey to say, I'm going to quit my job? Because I can tell in a lot of households across America that that's not a good conversation that you can have.
It wasn't. We just moved into our new apartment that year. Literally, we just signed and got into our new apartment in 2018, January. Got in, moved in. Next thing you know, I'm like, babe, I'm about to quit my job. I told her, babe, I'm about to quit my job. And
but you got to have that support system.
In the beginning, she's like, you sure, you know? Yeah. One thing about my wife, she always believes in me. Yeah. She always believed in me. Whatever I say, if she sees that I'm actually believing in myself, she'll run with it. Yeah. And she's always been that backbone for me. And so that moment when she said she was okay, and that she really thinks I could do it too, I was like, it's on. Woo. It's on.
Because you just buckled up from there and let it go.
Strapped it up and I was like, it's on. Bro.
Because so Come Around comes out. Love Me is starting to catch fire. Like, Love Me is out there. And now you're just going, you're doing shows off Come Around, but now that Love Me is starting to hit and hitting hard, was that like a whole different ball game from you than Come Around was?
Oh, it was. But the thing was, Love Me released in July of 2018. It didn't catch buzz until like March of like 2019.
Oh, wow. So it took a while.
It took a little while, yeah. They were kind of still hooked on Come Around. But when Love Me took off the way it did, like, man, I didn't realize what was going on. Yeah. Like on my socials, I just like, what's going on with this, you know? And it just took off from there, that Love Me song, to where, like with the Island Music Awards, things started to pop up. Like, bro, you got nominated for like 4 different awards. And then attending that awards and me going there, I was just blessed and honored to be amongst all these.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because all your peers are there. Yeah, hard hitters.
They're showing all these like nominations. I'm like, man, I'm going up against some of these heavy hitters. Yeah. At that point, I just told God, you know, I'm just blessed to be here. Yeah. Just like a year ago, I was just working my.
Come on.
You know, with my hands. I was trying to make some money. And now I'm sitting at this table, being nominated for these awards. Yeah. And you know, God blessed me because I took all 4 of those awards.
Ooh,
you know,
come on.
You know, like only God can do that. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in that. Like only God could have done that for me.
But that started getting you in your name buzzing around in rooms that, you know, now you're getting along and doing shows with the Sammy J's and the Common Kings and stuff like that too. Now, like, so one thing about our demographic is the camaraderie is dope. Yeah. Because we all support each other. We all like want to see each other win. It's not even really a competition. And those who are in competition, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Right. But seeing a lot of the artists that you know that was either backing up FIAS and everyone falling into their own, like with Johnny Sweet doing his thing, Josh the Tuffy doing his thing, you doing your the Common Kings and everybody doing theirs. Everyone was like pulling for you. You know what I mean? Like, I also was at that awards thing and I was kind of looking like, everyone was like, hey, I think the buzz was around. FIA's going to take that one. You know what I mean? FIA's going to take this one. And then when we seen it, it was kind of like, okay, then now it goes to another transition. Like, okay, now you got these accolades. What are you going to do next?
What you going to do next? Yeah. So for me, in that time, everything was, like I said, just moving too fast for me. The awards came, winning the awards.
It was going boom, 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 boom.
In that time, I just felt like it was expected of me to like keep going like hard like this, you know what I mean? And me being that I had my kids and my wife, like I loved where I was at in life. Yeah. But I just didn't know how to handle it. Yeah. I didn't know how to handle it.
Come on.
And
it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot. It's like newfound fame quick And you know, it's hard when you have a family and a wife to kind of transition to family man, then turn it on and you got to be stage FIA. Exactly. You know what I mean? So for you, that transition, it's definitely put a strain on what your relationship is.
It did. In that time too, like, I know every artist goes through it, you know, like, but after all those awards and stuff like that, like, I kind of went through like how do I say it? Like, mental exhaustion.
Oh yeah, come on.
Man, I just got mentally exhausted.
Mental health was at all-time low at that time.
It was.
Yeah.
And actually, it put me into like, probably like one of the toughest times of my life.
Yeah.
You know, on my family, on my wife, my kids.
Yeah.
Like being present as a father.
Yeah.
Being a husband to my wife. Like, man, we've been out, you know, when we do this whole music thing, man, we're around a lot of things.
But that's what I figure, like, we talk about God.
Yeah.
And I feel like when God knows it's too much too fast, they humble you.
They do.
And it's those moments that you're just thinking about right now and it's coming back to you, you're feeling it. It's kind of say, okay, to pump your brakes. Yeah. And I'm giving you this, but you got to make sure you're handling that. Because I see not just you, but a lot of artists that go through this. Yeah. And that it always comes back. I always say, oh, that's God. Even myself, pumps me down. Hey, slow down. You know what I mean? Because you're going a little too fast.
For the longest time, I felt like I didn't take it that way. Where God was trying to humble me. I took it to where, damn, am I really about this life?
Oh, trust me. Yeah,
I took it that way. And then I started to not be myself. Like, I'm a mentally strong person. Yeah. Trust me. If I
started questioning your own self. Yeah.
I started questioning myself. Yeah. Like, am I really about this? Like, damn, this is hard.
Yeah.
Man. It's hard. Like, people think we live this lifestyle of, like, man, we just do music, but the in-betweens and what people don't see. Yeah, yeah. Man,
because it can eat you up.
Eat you up alive.
And spit you out with no hesitation whatsoever.
Yes.
Because they'll say, okay, he couldn't handle it. Let's get the next person up. Exactly. Up to bat. And for somebody that like yourself to kind of go through that and kind of just say, okay, you're at the fork in the road. What transition am I going to make? Because it's not always going to be, okay, I went here, then everything was all, you know, but now you kind of say, okay, that's either going to make you stronger or ensure yourself to where you're able to find yourself.
Yeah. So in that time, it took me a lot. Like, I can say as of right now, today, God is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God he's worked miracles in my life.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you that much. Like, it was God who got me out of that situation. Because for the longest time, I want to say at least 2 to 3 years, I was just doing shows just to do them. I didn't love it anymore. Yeah. Like, I just showed up to shows. Like, I mean, even prior, we had a scheduled one for these podcasts to try and talk like this.
Yeah. And that's crazy. That's crazy you said that.
Mentally, I wasn't in the right space.
So we were supposed to do this podcast about a year or two ago. Yeah. And FIA came in here and he said to me, hey, says, I don't feel like I'm in the right space to do it. Yeah. And out of respect, I said, bro, don't even worry about it. You know, we had it all set up, and then, because normally I could be like, oh, you know, and just did my thing. But I kind of tell.
At the time when we were here, when I got in, I was like, yeah, let's just do it. Yeah. You know, whatever, let's just do it.
No, when he said that, I was like, nah. Because I felt like you wasn't in the right space.
That's why I was like, you know what? Out of respect for you and what you doing over here, I want to be able to come here and not only like speak my story, but be an inspiration.
Come on.
I'm not going to inspire nobody when I can't even inspire myself.
It's God's timing. Yeah. Because I always saw, and I told you that specifically when you said you wasn't right. I said, bro, we'll do it again at the right time. You did. Because in a way, I could kind of see it in you. I said, this is not the right time. Because you was like, we'll just do it real quick. Yeah. I was like, nah. I said, bro, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. Yeah. So that's why when it came back around this time, you moved out here, and I said, this is the right time. Something in me told me to say, reach out to FIA, because this might be the time.
I feel like it is. Yeah. It's the best time because mentally I'm in a beautiful space with me and my family. You know, like the way that I grew up, of course, I grew up in church. Yeah. So, of course, God is a priority. Yeah. But as a kid, I can't lie to everybody and be like, man, when I was a kid, I always wanted to praise God.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And growing up, too, in the music scene, seeing what goes on and going through what I've been through, I really found God. Yeah. And I really believe and understand what my parents taught me growing up. Come on. Like, you can't do it without him.
That light finally came on.
Finally did.
And you was like, okay, this is what they talking about.
It finally did. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, it was only just recently, probably like the last 5 months, that I actually came back to God. Yeah. And since then, like, being here in Vegas, getting the house. Come on. That's God. Like, where I just was before those 5 months.
Come on. The transition is real.
I'm saying, like, it's things that we can't comprehend or even understand, but all I can do is thank God for it, because that's the only reason why I am where I am right now. Because
that comes from a good support system. Yes. Within family, friends, like, you know, the real ones at that time too in your life.
So, like, I want to give big shout out to Johnny Sweet, my brother Johnny Sweet. For the longest time,
Johnny Sweet,
he got his life right with God.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, he's been inviting a lot of us, all of our brothers in our circle,
Yeah.
to do music together. And that's a strong dude right there. Because I tell you right now, he could be around all of us when we be partying, drinking, going out. And he'll just be like,
oh, trust me, I'm the devil around him, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm like, come on. He's like, oh, no. Yes, really strong-minded brother right there. Yeah.
That just shows how strong God can make you.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you really dedicate your life to him.
Yeah.
And I feel like in these last 5 months, he has a big part of why I did that.
Yeah.
Like, he seen where I was in life. I seen where I was. I seen where I was going.
Yeah.
And if I continued that, I felt like God could have easily been like, you know what? I'm going to take that anointing away from your voice.
Oh, come on. And take it back real quick. Yeah.
I'll take it back like this.
Yeah.
A lot of people say he'll take your gift away.
Yeah.
You probably still could sing. The only difference is the anointing in your voice.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the times when I do sing, there's people who sing better than me in the world. There's people who, man, do crazy runs.
Yeah.
The difference is the anointing that people get from your voice when you actually start singing some words.
Oh, that's the difference maker right
You know
there.
what I mean? That's what it is. It's the anointing of God having it on your voice and your spirit.
Yeah.
And I really believe, like, me getting myself right put me in this mental space where I love life right now.
Yeah, man. Come on.
You know what I mean? Every morning I wake up, me and my wife and my kids, we try to get our word in every day. We haven't missed ever since we've been to Vegas. We get our word in. Get our word in. We start our day like that because I feel like every time, I believe, every time we started off like that, everything just falls into place. Even when we come through problems throughout the day, I go to sleep happy. Me and my wife go to sleep happy because we know how to talk it out now. Yeah. We know how to speak it out. We know how to speak life into our kids.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
And I just have to thank God for that, man.
Because I've noticed that when you started posting, you and the kids doing Bible studies and stuff like that too, where if you don't, like, social media, that's what I want to get into, social media, because social media can be used. Me and my mom was talking about the other day, for the evil and for the good. Yeah. And I say, when people look at your social media, that's like your resume and that's like their gateway to you. Mm-hmm. So when you have certain things on there, they're just going off what's based off your social media. Right. So if you're putting girls and partying all this time, they already have an assumption in their head that that's all you do. For sure. So when you kind of see artists and people kind of say, okay, I wonder what their everyday life is like. So I look at all the artists. I look at, Johnny Sweets. I look at yourself. And when I see that, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Bible study with the kids. So when you said you moved to Vegas, I hit you. Hey, we neighbors now. Yeah. So it was like that time I gave you a DM. I said, it's time. It's time. And you was like, bro, let's do it. So it was a good space. But it was like social media was kind of something that if you use it the wrong way, especially as an artist, it could come back to bite you. For sure. And that's something that I see in yours where you've used social media from the beginning, like when it came about. Like, how did you use social media as far as being an artist to gain where you're at today, and how sometimes you kind of step back and be like, okay, I got to step back from social media because, well, like I said, we all know it's no secret. There's a lot of temptation on social media because there's instant gratification. There's instant people saying, do this, leave your wife, do this. Yes.
This is how you got to do it.
How did you use social media for better for you?
In the beginning, I didn't like social. I kind of still don't really care too much for it. Yeah. But as far as what I do for a living, my career,
using it as a tool.
I need to. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the difference now is, like, man, just what I see on my feed now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Back then, like, you scroll through my stuff, you just see parties. Yeah. Just people going out. Now I see scriptures. Yes. Every time. It's like I use it now in a way that I can inspire other people. Yeah. To let them know, like, I ain't perfect. Yeah. I may be on this big stage that everybody sees. But I tell you right now, man, I go through crazy stuff just like you. Yeah. And I want to use it this way to show people, like, especially the people who knew where I was in life a few years ago. Yeah. And to see where I am now.
No one posts their struggles. No one posts. They're always posting wins and everything that's good and positive about their life. They never post the struggles, the depressions, the hard times that they're going through. That's why it's when you're transparent with your audience and you're transparent with yourself.
That's what it,
looking at your social media feed is like, damn, am I just putting this stuff up? You kind of step back and be like, hold on, let me, because I got kids following me, I got family members following me, I got to make sure I do this right. So that's something that you kind of took heed to.
Yeah, I had to find myself before I start to, like, portray whatever people see of me.
Before they already assumed what it
was. Yeah. So I feel like I had to be more firm on what I believed in. Yeah. Believing in God, I had to really put forth that. Yeah. And I don't want to say that I was never ashamed of God. Yeah. I just always was hesitant to
absolutely
to put it up.
Well, because then you always think about, okay, people, are they gonna pull my card on that? And you're always judged.
For sure.
You're always under the microscope, especially in this demographic. Yeah. But because of so many being so hard on you, you're like, okay, if I do this, they might say, oh, all of a sudden, you know what I mean? So that's why you kind of did it the right way.
Yeah. So the difference now is just, man, whatever I go through, whether it's good or bad, I'm gonna talk about the goodness of God, because, like I said, the people who knew where I was, they know how much of a difference it is. Like I changed my whole lifestyle. I'm talking about I used to weigh 320 pounds. Yeah. You know what I mean? I lost 100 pounds.
Oh, shut up, because I was hitting you while you was at the gym. I said, dude, what happened? You all right over there? You had the tank top on. I said, hold up, man. You started to make us look bad over here.
I had to,
but that was a lifestyle change for you.
That was a change for me that I had to make in order for me, because physically, if I'm physically healthy, my mind is on point.
Come on.
I've been in shape before in high school, so I know what it's like to have a good mindset. It came from just being healthy physically too, and I noticed that a lot of the times these past few years that I was so down and being down about myself, just physically I wasn't right. Like, man, you know what I mean? I didn't realize.
Mind, body, and soul got to be intact.
It had to be intact.
Yeah.
So I felt like once I got that right with my health, I could inspire my wife and my kids, you know, like by just being around like more often, you know, doing more things with the kids. Cause man, sometimes I come home from the shows, I'll be coming home from my tours, just get in the house and be like, it's my time, leave me alone.
Exactly.
You know
let me rest.
Not putting into consideration, like, man,
this is your
gone.
time.
Well, not only was I gone and I was going through some stuff, but they was missing me too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm coming home bringing all this attitude to them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
from the road.
They don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I told myself, you know what, the only way I'm going to have enough energy to give them the attention to is I got to be physically right.
Come on.
You know, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm way further than where I was.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And that explains a lot too, because like when you do, you know, put time into your body because you are doing it for the right things, you do start seeing, you know, the changes and the weight coming off, because not only is it just weight for your body, it's weight off your shoulders because of the burden of what you've been going through. Like to deal with that and be in a public eye when you are doing shows now, as opposed to a show that you just didn't really care about doing. Is it different now when you get stepping on the stage?
Yeah, we just did a show out in San Diego Music Box this past weekend, and that was the first time I ever did really get into a worship before I got on stage.
Wow.
And it was one of my first shows coming back with this mindset, with this, you know, just physically being ready.
Where you're at.
And right before I got on stage, like maybe an hour, I told my brother Eddie on the bass, his hands, I was like, hey, bro, can you throw on some worship music?
Yeah.
And, bro, right before that show, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried.
Come on.
I cried so much because, like I said, where I was at, I'm so blessed to be where I am at right now.
Shout out Eddie, man.
Shout out Eddie, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out my team.
Yeah.
You know, like, shout out to all the boys, man, because they hold me accountable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to see everybody eating. I want to see them eating the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the only way I can really do that for them is by leading by example.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be in the green room, like, tossing around the Jameson bottle, like, hey, let's take this shot.
Yeah.
Then we go on stage. Like, but I'd say the difference I felt when I actually went into praise and worship before I went on the stage, hands down, the best feeling I ever had on that stage.
And one of the best shows you probably did.
One of the best shows I've ever done.
Come on, Fia.
I got feedback from like my good brother G Money from San Diego.
Shout out G
Money, man. He came out to the show and he was like, yo, bro, something different about you. Something different about you. I was like, you know, all I could say was, man, that's God.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, cliche, whatever. Honestly, that was God that carried me that whole show.
And it's crazy because when you do have friends and family and you have fans that watch these shows, they've been coming to the shows for years.
Yeah.
So, of course, if anybody's going to notice a change, it's going to be the fans.
For sure.
It's going to be the friends and family that are watching because they know from one show to another, oh, it was cool, but it wasn't like. And when you have the confirmation from G Money, from fans coming up.
Matter of fact, it was a bunch of fans that actually talked to me after the show, just telling me how different I look.
That's crazy.
Not just physically. Of course, I lost a lot of weight, but just how I looked and felt on stage. They said they felt like I was like
energy was on a different level.
And when they said that, like enjoying it, like it really took me back to think like, man, I really went through a phase where I didn't enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
Like I was just here because I got to get my money and get out of here.
Yeah.
But man, I really enjoyed myself on that stage. Like I loved every part of it and connecting with the fans in that way. And that was probably one of the first times I ever acknowledged God on the stage.
Come on.
Like usually, like I said, you know, you don't want to get that feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
People, but that one, it's not that I felt that I had to. It's I really felt like I wanted to.
Came naturally.
I wanted to. I wanted to let people know, man, God got me here.
Yeah.
And when I said it, the reaction I got back from the fans was more than I could ever even expect, because I thought
it isn't a trip though. Like you would think, oh man, it might get this. And be surprised at the reaction.
Before I'd be like, should I say it? Nah, because when I said it, I wasn't expecting a reaction. I just wanted to say it because that's where I really was on that stage. I really felt God's presence with me.
Come on.
So when I said it, I wasn't expecting no feedback, but the crowd went crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that just made me more happy because I know I got some believers out there too.
And that's when you're in your own, right?
Yeah.
When you're in your own like that and you don't have to worry about nothing, who's watching, what's going on, should I say this, should I not say that? That's when you kind of come into your own.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like for me to reach out to you, I kind of felt that. You know what I mean? And the reason why I said it's time is because I kind of seen, you know, you was working out, you was kind of, there was a change in you. And the reason why I said it was time for you to tell this story. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when we had this same interaction about a year ago, it wasn't the time. Yeah. And I respected that because I said, nah, something ain't right. Yeah. Which was cool. You told me, you was like, oh, I'll be straight up with you. And I said, bro, all respect. Yeah. But to come now and hear this is kind of what I wanted the audience to hear. For sure. Your story now. Because I always tell people that come on the podcast, they need to know what you're going through. Beginning, now, and what's going on later on.
That's exactly why when you hit me up, I was like, when you said it's time, I was like, it is. It is. You know what I mean? I'm ready to be a testimonial, living testimony to the people out there who believe, like, who really think that they lost it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'll be a testament of that, man. At one point, I thought I lost it. Yeah. Like, I felt like my voice wasn't as good as it was. I started doubting myself.
And that's funny you say that because there's people watching this podcast right now that are in that stage of their life. Yep. And when they do see, you know, testimonies like this and, you know, people kind of wearing their feelings on their sleeves, now it's kind of something for them to kind of say, oh, okay, wait. Yeah. And take it back. And that's not even your purpose. Like, you just kind of saying, look, I'm just telling my story.
This is my story. Yeah.
I'm not trying to preach to nobody.
I believe God put me through that phase in my life because he knew I had enough to get out of it.
Come on.
You know what I mean? I knew God was going to be there no matter what. Yeah. But where I was in life, God knew I could handle that. Yeah. Just enough to where I was at my breaking point. Yeah. For him to just pull me right back out and for him to tell me, go tell a story now. Yeah. Talk about it. You know what I mean? For the longest time, I was like, man, I ain't trying to talk about it. Like, where I was, like, bro, that was some crazy stuff.
Well, see, you even take us back like that. We talk about FIAS, we talk about, like, FIAS been in the game for so long. We're talking about you. This is a short time frame. It is. We're talking about from 2018, and we're in 2024. Like, a lot's happened in between that. So now you see the transition where you're at now. You see where you're in this space where you're comfortable with who you are and where you're at. Yep. What's next for you as far as saying, okay, now when I go back in the studio to make music, now when I go on tours, what's different about your whole approach of making music now?
I don't want to say too much of a difference. I think, well, difference as far as like how much of a priority God is to me. Yeah. That's the difference. As far as going in the studio and like, I ain't changed too much. Yeah, I always had it in me.
Because it's not like I'm talking to a rapper that was talking about all this ganging and then all of a sudden, you would still kind of stick to the script where you're talking about love.
For me, I'm gonna always talk about real stuff, like things that I personally go through. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna ever catch me talking about all that other stuff. Cause like, I ain't about that life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, but difference now is like when I go in the studio, like I said, just loving it again. Yeah. Just fell in love with me.
It's like a newfound love for what you do.
For what I've been doing. Yeah. But actually just, man, appreciating life more. Yeah. What I'm doing in life today.
With that said, when you do go on tours and you do festivals and, you know, you're back into that scene, you know what I mean? Like, do you find yourself now kind of saying, okay, I don't need to be in certain places or, you know, I don't need to go party with Cisco and them again because he's always trying to. I'm Beelzebub, by the way, if y'all didn't know I was playing. But I'm just saying, do you find yourself in a different space?
Maybe like 2 months ago, I try to avoid any of that. Yeah. Any of the stuff I used to be around. Just avoid it. This last show I just did, like last week, I feel like I believe that I'm strong enough to be around it.
Got it.
And just not do it. Yeah. You know, not drink or all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just recently stopped drinking. Yeah. And for me, it just keeps me level-headed.
Keeps you on point.
Keep me on point to where I know.
I gotta write this down because I'm never on point when I'm always drinking other things. But.
Yeah, I mean, people can handle that. You know, you do what you do. But me personally,
and that's where I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to nobody else but yourself personally. Yeah, like because everybody could make it do what it do. Yeah, it matters to what you do for yourself. It's just what
you have to understand and know yourself too. Yeah. So I know myself. Yeah. Give me a little bit of alcohol, I'm gonna act a fool. Yeah, I'm just being real.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So. In this new part of my life, this new chapter, I had to know what I had to cut out in order for me to stay a straight line. Come on. And so I cut out the drinking. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when I go out to these shows, like my boys, you know, they still have a few drinks in there. But what I love about them is they know what level of, I'm at right now as far as what I'm trying to do.
And there's a level of respect.
Respect.
Like, I mean, when you kind of, especially when people see this now, they're going to think twice when they come up to a show and try to offer you a drink because they're like, oh, man, I just seen him on Cisco's podcast. Yeah. So now it's kind of like where it's not like you're doing this to tell people that. Yeah. It's more or less to kind of say, look, this is where I'm at in my life. Yeah. And I'm not trying to tell nobody how to live their life. For sure. It's just I'm in a different space.
I'm not going to sit here and say, like, you know, I'm never, ever going to drink
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
But what I'm saying is I know my vision right now. I know what I'm trying to do in my life right now. And in order for me to get to this end goal, this is just the stuff I got to take out of it. You know, I just got to eliminate some of these things to keep myself level-headed and just grind. You know what I mean?
With that mindset going forward, it's going to be a busy summer. It's going to be a busy spring. Like going for with that said, doing these shows now, what's next for FIA as far as new music, as far as, you know, new shows? Like what's next on the horizon for Mr. FIA?
So I'm about to release an album in June.
Okay.
And this album is an album that I've been working on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Since probably like 2018.
Yeah.
Songs. But the thing about these songs were, a lot of these songs were written like 2010, 2011, when I was in high school.
Yeah, yeah.
And
they're just coming back.
Yeah, I'm bringing it out. And when I went over it again, like a few months ago when we was trying to get through the mix and master process, I was thinking about changing some of the stuff because, of course, my style changed. Not style, but like lyrically, how I used to speak. Like, man, I used to talk like sing like this. What am I saying? But the thing is about this album, I didn't change anything about it.
Yeah.
I wanted people to get the raw, young-minded FIA that was back in high school. This is how I wrote. This is how I sang. And that's why I wanted to keep it that way. But this album, I'm gonna tell y'all, it's called Never Give Up.
Come on, man.
This album was actually supposed to be called Escape, which is one of the songs I have on there, Escape. But since I got through this new chapter in my life, I felt like God telling me this should be the song, Never Give Up. Yeah. Because you getting the raw version of me, these songs from when I was a kid, even to ones that's like around 2018. Yeah. And then my newest song that I just recently wrote probably 4 or 5 months ago, Never Give Up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that song fit perfect because, man, the things that I've gone through so far in my life.
Come on, it's a testament.
It's a testimony. Yeah. You know, like I got to share my story, and this is how I'm going to say it through these music. And, of course, it's not all about life. It's just having fun with the songs, you know what I mean? But never giving up on yourself, you know what I mean? And that's why I didn't want to change the young FIA on this album. I wanted people to hear that.
Well, with that, when you say that people want to hear that with the process, when you write the process, when you come up with words like a warrior, and you come up with words like, and you change them forever, you know. So if y'all know this song, every time I used to play this song, I said, where did a warrior come? You can't not be there and say, this was going to be a warrior. Like, where do these words come from? Or forever.
You know what's funny? I didn't realize I pronounced it that way in Love Me.
Yeah.
I listen to it now, you're like, bro, what am I didn't know that. The funny thing was, the first person that ever told me that was Ellie Mack.
Yeah.
She's like,
shout out Ellie.
Where you get your accent from? Yeah. I was like, what are you talking
That's why I thought you was a 5, because that's why I was like, oh, what? I was like, so forever, are you hungry?
For Awoya is definitely 5. So funny thing about Awoya Morning Time, we just went and I wanted like a tagline to be like something that people could sing along. And they was like, okay, what was sing? I was like, Awoya came to mind. My mom said it all the time. Yeah. My mom, like in my family, we said it a lot.
It was like a slang. It was like a slang.
Polynesians say it. You could be like, when something hurts, like, oh yeah. Or something cool, like, oh yeah.
So that's what I thought. So when morning came on my desk and I was playing it and I heard it and I heard a warrior and I said, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this. And then the more you keep listening to it, I said, oh, I sound kind of cool now.
Yeah. It's funny because people always ask me, what does that mean? I was like, man, I couldn't even tell you, bro.
It's an expression. Like every artist has like their signature thing. And like a warrior was like the one when you think of FIA or forever or what. And like, you know, with Boog, it's like well, and you know, everyone has like their thing. So when you came by, every time I listen to Love Me, like my son over there, he'll say, Dad, what's forever? I was like, well, it's kind of like forever.
Yeah, but it's kind of like forever, but
yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know why. I don't know why I pronounced it that way. But when Ellie Mac brought it up, she's like, "What's the accent?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You always say, baby, I'm forever."
Yeah,
I was like, "No, I don't. I denied it until I went back to the hotel. I was like, what the hell is forever? I didn't know. I really didn't know.
You, because me and West Stop, shout out West Stop, when we do Western Conference, and we always bring up Love Me.
Yeah.
And when that part comes on, I have them stop them and I'll say it forever. Make sure you say forever. And everyone's because there's a part in the song too when you talk about he means. I say, oh, he means it.
Yeah.
Like you're really crisp with your words, and like when your writing process, is that something that you kind of like go back and say, oh
I do. I take a lot of pride in how I write, but a lot more so like my cadences, how I say it, the way the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, like I look up to a lot of good songwriters, like Kivini. Kivini's probably my
shout out Kivini, man. Shout out
my all-time favorite writer, man. Kivini's songs, like the way he speaks is like,
yeah.
I feel like every time I listen to a Kivini song, I get the image that he's at the beach just looking at the waves. And just
Oh, come
like
on.
I
got the same feeling with Langa Severe.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Langa,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, man, is he sitting on a beach?
Langa is those harmonies. So big shout out to Langa, man.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace to Langa.
One of the biggest reasons why I got into the scene with Feej.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason why I sang backup for Feej at the show was because I don't know if it was Leslie or somebody couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Langa had to jump on the drums instead of do vocals. Langa hit me up. He's like, bro, you want to do vocals?
Come on.
I was like, yeah, for who? He's like, for Feej. I was like, bro, I was like,
look how God works. Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And mind you, I thought he already talked to Feej about it.
Yeah.
I go to rehearsal thinking Feej is ready for me. Like, he's waiting for me. Come and Feej is like, who's this guy?
Oh, no.
Yeah, we were at White Power Studio. He's like, who's this guy? And Langa was like, oh, I'm going to be on the drum. So I told my Sophia. And Feej's face, you know what I mean? Like, which he has all the rights to. This is his set.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I gotta make sure I got somebody that can sing. So Feej's like, oh, okay. And Langa really vouched for me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I believe that I really proved myself
to
where Feej is comfortable using me on stage.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of shows with Feej, you know what I mean? And shout out to Feej because, like I said, that guy never holds back for other people to have their opportunity to shine.
He's always gonna leave that door open for you.
He leaves it open to you though.
Yeah.
He give you the shot. What you gonna do with it?
It's what you do with it. Because once Fiji gives you that shot and you fumble it, and I've seen some people fumble it.
Yeah, he play action all day, bro. He pulling that out.
I've seen Fiji because Fiji is one that knows talent.
Oh yeah.
And I think when he kind of sees where you can be as an artist, he's gonna help you as much as he can, and he's helped a dozen every artist that you hear on the radio now. Fiji has some kind of hand in it. But going forward now and kind of like having this hit song. Like when you have a song like Love Me, and I talk about this with Boog and everybody else, when you have that type of caliber of song, that's kind of like, that's the one everybody knows.
Right.
Is it harder as an artist to follow up a song like that?
I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Nah. Like everything I write, I love.
Yeah.
Everything I come up with, I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as the fans, how they take it, I feel like Love Me is always going to be that classic
Exactly.
for them. You know what I mean? But there's always those fans who respect their music for whatever you come out with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So me, I don't ever try to compete with or try to make something sound like that one.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have such a I'm versatile when it comes to
big range.
Yeah,
the range is huge.
If I wanted to spit like Chris Brown, I could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if I wanted to sing, just give a whole melody, I'm gonna do it that way too.
And that's one thing I noticed about your music too, is where you do have your own style. You do kind of have your own way. Like you don't try to sound like Chris Brown. You don't try to do these things too. But going forward on this new album, are there some collaborations that we can look out for? Or is there just songs that you kind of say, oh, you guys are gonna be some shocked at these collaborations?
Yeah, we got some collaborations on there. I'm down to talk about it right now.
Yeah,
actually.
please do.
I got one song that I wrote in like 2012.
Yeah,
a song called "Threat." In parentheses, is "Fall in Love."
Yeah,
it's a song I wrote in 2012, and I was in the studio recording vocals. And while I was in the studio, Caleb from The Green was in the studio.
Man, shout out Caleb.
And he was listening to the song and he liked it. He was cool with it. He was like, man, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, you down to be on it? Like, would you be on it?
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, bro. As soon as he said that, I was like, delete the second verse. delete the second verse. Caleb's, so I got the second. Okay, we'll do that. So that song right there, Threat, I got on the album is with Caleb from The Green. I got one with my brother, Mr. Shant Porno, who's also a keyboardist right now for J Boog.
Yeah.
And then got my brother Marcus from Nanakuli.
Come on, man.
I had to get a Nanakuli boy on there, man.
Yeah, had to go back home. Yeah.
So the funny story with Marcus was he just came out around the time that I wrote this song.
Got it.
And I asked him, like, bro, you down to write, like, do a verse on this? And this is like, I want to say like 2015.
Yeah.
And like throughout all these years, he just laid vocals like 2-3 months ago. I was like, bro, we're gonna do this song together. Leslie produced it.
Yeah, so, shout out Les, Ben Walla.
That's the three features I got on this album right now.
But when you write these songs, like you don't know that there's gonna be an opportunity for a collaboration to happen. Like when you do kind of have to shelf a second verse, when you do have to kind of do that, do you kind of keep those verses for another song? Or it depends on the vibe of what the song was.
I never thought of that, but that's a good idea. Yeah. That's a good idea. No, I never. I usually, when I just take it out, I just take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just see.
Because I would hate to see like a good verse go to waste and just be like, oh man, that could have been the one. You know what I mean? So that's why I always ask a writer, what happens with the verse that you have to open up for that collaboration?
It's still with me. You know what I mean? I still got it in lyrics and all that. I just never thought about revisiting all those lyrics. But that's actually a good idea. But yeah, when I usually take it off, I just let the guy do his thing. Yeah. And just put the verse on the side.
Speaking of collaborations, what's a dream collaboration of yours? If somebody came up to you and said you can have any artist hop on your album, what's that one artist?
Chris.
Woo, come on, man.
Chris Brown.
Shout out Chris Brown.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown and FIAS on the track. And it's not impossible. That's why the reason why I ask these questions because it's attainable.
This is a crazy thing. I have one of my friends, Renzi, 808, he's a producer. He went to Kapolei High School, but he moved out to Atlanta. That's where he originally from. He signed with Sony. He was working on some stuff with them, and he ended up getting Chris Brown's album to work with. And he hit me up, me and this other dude named Sire.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of Sire. I think he's from New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That boy sounds like Chris Brown.
Oh, he's nice.
Oh, he's nice.
I thought it was Chris Brown when I first heard
So I heard Sire's song. One of the homies showed me the song. I was like, damn, Chris got a new reggae song?
No, and it was Sire. Yeah. I know exactly the song you're talking about, too. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so my boy Renzi hit Sire and me up.
Yeah.
He was like, bro, I'm working on Chris Brown's album. I was like, nah, for real? He's like, yeah. And they're looking for melody ideas. So I actually shot him an idea of a melody, and he texted me back. He's like, Chris Brown and the management, they love the melody.
Wow.
They just want to change the lyrics. I was like, bro, y'all do whatever y'all want with the lyrics.
But the melody came from you.
That's me. Well, yeah. So they haven't used it,
but
we're still in the talks of trying to make it happen.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
See, people don't know about the behind the scenes. We was talking about like Fiji with the Tyrese hook and like these different things that you have these people in the business that it could be as simple as a melody with Chris Brown that we could hear in a year or two and kind of be like, that's the melody I was talking about.
Yep.
Come on, because we're going to have that on this podcast when you guys see it. But
man, I can't wait till that day happens where we actually get to hear that melody I made for him. You know
so Chris Brown is a dream collaboration.
For sure.
What's a female artist that you would work with if you had the opportunity to?
Tori Kelly.
Man, she's so bad.
She's been one of my favorite female vocalists for forever. Like,
so I remember Tori Kelly, a friend of mine, Jeremy Passion. Jeremy Passion and Tori Kelly used to do a lot of stuff together, and just the way their vocals are is crazy. And I could definitely see a collab with
Tori Kelly used to do all her acoustic videos in the room singing. I swear, I'm not religiously. I used to put on YouTube and just watch it and mimic every run she used to do. Like I studied it to the T. Like I used to do that a lot with her and Sammy J.
Wow,
Sammy J's Prelude album.
Yeah,
I try to mimic every run he did. Like that's when I heard him. That's when I was like, oh, this guy's different from everybody. Like, his voice is crazy. So I literally. Every song, I knew what track was next. I knew what first run he would do. Like, I studied.
He was on it.
To the T, So
Sammy one of them ones.
He is. That boy gifted. So, like, every time when I'm singing or on stage, like, any kind of riffs that I usually do, a lot of them is inspired by Sammy.
Yeah.
You know, Tori Kelly.
Yeah.
You know, Langa. I tell you right now, Langa, I don't think a lot of people in the world got to really see what Langa could do vocally. Like they hear his production on his music.
Langa's so crazy.
They hear his arrangement with harmonies.
Yeah.
But as a vocalist,
Langa can sing any song in the world.
That boy can. I'm talking about when you talk about runs.
Oh
that boy could. That's a track star right there, bro.
Do you still find yourself being a student of the game today?
Oh yeah, still.
Yeah.
Still, I like to this day. I don't. Nothing against everybody in the reggae scene or anything. But I don't listen to released music.
Yeah.
Like you know, like I try to like listen to like some stuff that I had from before.
Got it.
But also try and like study the gospel runs that I hear a lot of, like on live shows. You know, like the gospel music, like Zaccardi Cortez. You know, all those guys. Like I listen to them and hear those runs and try to like learn from them. You know.
Come on, so you definitely are a student of the game.
Still, you got to.
Who's a producer that you would want to produce a track for you?
Langa.
Man, rest in peace to Langa, man.
That guy right there. Man.
Yeah,
that's my brother. Right there.
And people don't know Langa's producer game. His producer hat was different.
He was different, and like when I wasn't even in the music scene, I met him. I sang for my cousin's wedding.
Yeah,
he was playing piano, and when I just moved from Cali, I was like sang for my cousin's wedding. I was like, yo, that's Langa Seville.
Yeah.
That he was related to the groom.
Wow.
So I was like, well, that's Langa Seville. You know.
Ooh, that's God again.
And Langa was playing. and then I was maybe like 13 years old.
Man.
And I started singing, and Langa turned. He stopped playing the keys. He was like, bro, he shook my hand. When he shook my hand, I was like, that's confirmation. You know, like, so he took me from that. We started hanging out. Man. And we started going places. He took me in his blue truck. He's got this blue Ram.
Man,
he took me out to the studio sessions that he had. And that's where I started soaking in some stuff that I'd never seen happen in my life. Like, mind you, I haven't even seen a studio before like that. So we go to Studio 101 with Wendell, and we're chilling in there. And Langa starts like stacking like these drums first. He's going off.
Man.
Then he comes over and starts doing the keys. Like he's doing everything.
His process was crazy.
And I was like, damn, that's how he created a beat. Like that's how he did it. How I got mind blown was when he went in and started stacking vocals.
Wow.
And the notes he would hit, bro, I couldn't even hit that on my I don't even think Mariah could hit those notes.
Oh, y'all thought Feej could hit that dolphin octave? Langa was on a whole nother
crazy.
Yeah, man.
And the way, like, just his ear, like, I just didn't understand where he came with these things, and I started hanging around him more to see where he got it. And we have our session, we'd be drinking at the park, and he just started playing gospel stuff.
Man,
and he's like, "This is where I get it." I was like, "Are you serious,
bro?" He was heavy into the gospel.
He's putting gospel or R&B stuff, in reggae,
as
far as harmonies, And that's why
and made it work.
And made it work.
You know what I mean? Because somebody heard that just raw. They're like, oh, that couldn't be a song. But what Longa would do with it.
The way Longa did it.
Yeah, and even now today, like a lot of songs that you guys have that are gospel inspired.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you guys see it, and you could see the element that you guys have from it. It's a crazy process, man.
Yeah, so Longa was a different beast. And we always talked about trying to do a song together.
Yeah.
And in that times, we had our talks of why he didn't want to do it for me at the time. Like he was going through some stuff. I was just starting. But that was always a dream for me. I was like, man, nah, you know what everybody say? Like, I want you to produce a song. He's like, nah, just do what you're doing because it's working. Yeah. And I respected it for it. But to this day, I really wish I did. We did one. Yeah. We did one that never released. He was going to a church that I used to attend called Christ Embassy. Yeah. And that church, Longa really got saved over there. He was really doing his thing. And he found out that I used to go to the church. Yeah. We ended up in the studio and we worked on a church song for the church to use. Gave all the royalties to him, like, you guys, this is just how we want to just,
And that still hasn't been released yet? Or
never been released.
Come on.
I still got it, but it's a song called God is Able.
Come on.
And that was the first time I ever did really work on a song with Longa. And man, the way I seen him work that beat, I'm telling you, man. Because I tell you, the beat that I had, I'm thinking like, oh, this is the beat. Yeah. He got it.
Now when Longa got a hold of it.
He got it. He was like, I got some. What do you think about this? I was like, that's where I was going. Yeah, that's where I was going with it.
Oh, you read my mind. But thinking about Longa and thinking about Fiege, and now with these artists watching this podcast now, before we get up out of here, what advice do you have for the young artists watching you as an established artist now to them watching this podcast right now?
Don't do too much trying to like solidify yourself in the game. Yeah. When you're gonna lose yourself doing it. Man. Like, don't do too much. Like, I felt like that's what caused a lot of my mental. Yeah. Like,
Don't do too much. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Just don't do too much. Yeah. Like, do what you know how to do, and do what God blessed you with. Yeah. That's it. Run with that. I feel like once you start to really chase other visions, like you see, like, oh, this is how I should sound, you lose yourself in the process. Don't lose yourself trying to do everything else.
Come on, man.
I believe that's probably the best advice that I could give as right now where I'm at in life. Don't lose yourself doing something that you just not comfortable with.
And with that said, what do you want your fans watching this to take away from this podcast? For you, as them watching you as an artist, as one of their favorite artists, what do you want them to take away from this experience?
That when you trust God, man, sky's the limits for you. Honestly, I'm a firm believer in that today. That when you really give your life to God, I'm not gonna throw it on anybody out there listening. This is just me personally. The way God works miracles and the way He's done it in my life, I'm a living testimony to it. And I just want to encourage everybody that if you want something in life, God has to be first in your life.
Come on,
you gotta put Him first and really walk that line with Him. And you ain't gonna fool nobody. Yeah, you can't fool Him. You can put up this picture of you, just whatever, like this is you. Really, really, God knows your heart. Yeah. And I feel like, all the fans out there, whatever you're going through, my advice is God has a way. God has a purpose for you in life. God really, He has something for you. You just have to find it, and you have to really trust Him with it. Yeah. Don't give up on yourself.
Come on, man. Artist FIAS here, your boy Big Body Cisco. Thank you, my brother, for coming in.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Man, it's long overdue, but it's in God's timing.
Yes, sir.
With that said, Western Conference Podcast, we'll see you on the next one.